In today's video, I give you guys my top 5 best Amazon Prebuilt PCs for the month of February 2022. Now, before going into this list, I want to mention the gaming PCs that you should avoid at all costs on Amazon because they have some good PCs, but they also have some bad PCs. So before telling you my top 5 best Prebuilt PCs, I give you guys the PCs that you should avoid buying, and these are the gaming PCs under $900. If you have a budget under $900, don't buy from Amazon because the gaming PCs that they offer are pretty bad at that price point. Now I have a video around PCs that you should buy under $900, but I will not get into too much detail about that. If we go to Amazon right now and you put $900 as your max price, you're going to see a lot of HP Pavilions and a lot of gaming PCs with a GTX 650, old i3s and i5 processors, so avoid these PCs at all costs. I recommend the HP Pavilion. I think it's a great PC, but the ones that they offer on Amazon are really overpriced, like this one with the Ryzen 5 5600G, the RX 5500 for $750, where you can get a gaming PC with the 1650 Super and the i5 11400F, which is a much better combo, for $700 on the HP website, which by the way, I have this PC, I have a whole video around it, you can go ahead and watch it in the top right of the screen. But what I'm saying is, avoid gaming PCs below $900 from Amazon, go with another company. I have plenty of videos that you can check out before buying one of those PCs. But with that being said, now let's get to the PCs that I recommend buying, and you're going to see a lot of Skytech gaming PCs. 4 out of these 5 PCs are from Skytech, and this is because Amazon has a lot of Skytech Prebuilt PCs, and I think they have the best price to performance PCs on Amazon, and that's why you're going to see a lot of them. But the first one is actually from CyberPower PC. This one is the Extreme VR for $950. You get the RTX 2060 and the i5 11400F. Now I mentioned this PC on a lot of my videos, and that's because I think that for the price that you're paying, you're getting a great performance out of this PC. Like I said before, the RTX 2060 is going to run every single game at 1080p 60 frames per second with the proper settings, and it's going to be able to run those competitive games that you want to play, such as CSGO and Fortnite, at above 240 FPS on average on competitive settings. So overall, for just $950, you're getting a great gaming PC, and the only downside for these PCs are going to be the CPU cooler and the RAM. Now I really recommend you upgrading the RAM. You will have a link down below in the description with a RAM stick that you should buy in order to upgrade it to 16 gigs, which is the standard for gaming nowadays. And you're also going to have a link to a CPU cooler that's not too expensive, it's around $40. So overall, if you spend around $100 more, you're getting more performance out of this PC, and it's actually going to be great for the price, which is already great for the price. But what I mean is you can get much more performance for $100 of difference. With the next one, we have this Skytech Blaze 3.0, and this one is actually the same as the next 3 gaming PCs, but with different specifications, just the same case and model. But this one has the i5 10400F, which is not the best CPU on the market right now. You have the 11th gen and the 12th gen that are better than this one, but here you get the RX 6600 XT, 1TB of SSD, 16GB of RAM, 3200MHz, and that's what it makes this PC good for the price. The RX 6600 XT is really similar to the RTX 3060, it's actually a little bit better in some cases, but you also get that 1TB of SSD and 16GB of RAM, so here you don't need to really upgrade anything. Also, the CPU cooler is not the stock cooler, it's a better one, so the airflow for this PC is going to be better. You also get a front mesh panel, the airflow is going to be really decent, and you also get really good specifications, except for the CPU, it's not the best one, but again, for gaming at 1080p, it's going to get the job done. You don't need an i7 12th gen to run games at 1080p, so if you're not going to play at 1440p, this one is actually great for the price, $1300, and you get a gaming PC that can run everything at 1080p, basically every game you throw at it, and the GPU is actually really decent for the price that you're paying. So once again, I think overall for the price, it's actually a good buy if you want to buy a gaming PC from Amazon. With the next one, we have the 3.0, but this time you get an i7 11700F and the RTX 3060 Ti. Here you get 1TB of SSD again and 16GB of RAM at 3200MHz again. So the main difference here are going to be the GPU CPU combination, and the i7 11700F, it's a much better option than the i5 10th gen. So if you want to play games but also do multitasking and streaming, this PC is going to be much better. And you also get the RTX 3060 Ti, which is much better than the RX 6600 XT. So for gaming and streaming and basically everything, this one is going to be much better for $1650. Now I don't recommend buying this PC from Amazon because you can get the same exact PC from Newegg at $1500, so you're saving around $150 basically for free. But if the offer ends on Newegg, you have this one on Amazon, and if you don't want to buy it from Newegg, you can buy it from Amazon. That's really up to you and where you want to buy it from. One thing I forgot to mention is that you get a 240mm all-in-one liquid cooler for the CPU, so the cooling is going to be much better from the other PCs. So overall, it's a much more improved version of the Skytech 3.0 that I mentioned before, for around $350 more expensive from Amazon, but if you buy it from Newegg, it's going to be only $200 more expensive, and you get a lot of upgrades for the price. For the next one, we have the 3.0, but this time you have the Ryzen 5 5600X. It's going to be a little bit worse than the i7 11700F, but here you get the RTX 3070, once again 1TB of SSD and the same exact 16 gigs of RAM, but here you get a 750 watts gold power supply, so this one has more upgradability. The only downside for this PC is a cooler for the Ryzen 5 5600X. Now you don't need a super high-end liquid cooler, you can get away with the stock liquid cooler, but you're spending $950, so you want to upgrade this if you're going to spend that amount of money on a gaming desktop. Don't worry about it, you will have my recommended liquid cooler for this PC down below in the description, but this PC for gaming is actually going to be great. I recommend you buying at least a 1440p monitor for this gaming PC because you get the RTX 3070. If you want to do just 1080p gaming, I will go with a 3060 or a 3060 Ti, but a 3070 is mostly for a 1440p monitor. You also get that Ryzen 5 5600X. It's not going to be the best one for streaming because you can get the i7 11700F for much less on the other Skytech 3.0, but it's going to be enough for gaming at 1440p, and it's not like it's going to be terrible for streaming and video editing, it's just going to be worse than the i7. So I think that this PC for a 1440p gaming experience is really good, but it's also a little bit overpriced. So if you're going to buy from Skytech or from Amazon, I would recommend you going with the other one that's $1,650 or $1,500 on Newegg, because you only get a downgraded RTX 3060 Ti, but there's not going to be a huge difference from this 3060 to the 3070, and you also get a better CPU and a better CPU cooler, so the cooling overall for the other one is going to be better as well. So in my opinion, you should go with the other one instead of this one, but if you want the RTX 3070, then this one is the right one for you. But remember that you should upgrade the CPU cooler for this one. And lastly, if you have a super high-end budget, I will go with the Skytech Prism 2 gaming PC. This one has the AMD Ryzen 9 5900X. It's by far the best CPU on the list. You also get the RTX 3090, which is the best GPU on the market right now. It's really expensive, I know, but it's the best GPU. You also get 1TB of SSD. I recommend you upgrading this 1TB of SSD if you're going to do a lot of video editing and a lot of exporting and importing files, because if you're getting one of these PCs, I'm guessing you're a content creator, or at least you want to do a lot of editing, 3D rendering, streaming, whatever, and you will need more storage than 1TB. You also get 16 gigs of RAM. Once again, I recommend you going for 32. If you're just going to do gaming, 16 gigs of RAM is going to be fine, but if you're also going to do a lot of multitasking, you may want to go with 32 gigs of RAM, and the price for this PC is $4,200. So if you're going to spend $4,200 on a gaming PC, you may want to spend an extra $100 or maybe $200 more for this upgrades that I'm telling you. You also get a 1000 watts gold power supply, again great for future upgradability, and you get a 360mm all-in-one liquid cooler for the CPU. So the cooling overall for this PC is going to be great. Everything about this PC is great except for the price, $4,200, and the RAM and storage can be upgraded depending on every situation, but I recommend you upgrading these components if you have the money to, of course, but I'm guessing you have if you're going to buy a $4,200 gaming PC. Like I said at the beginning, you will have all the links down below in the description for my recommended upgrades for this PC and for gaming PCs that I recommend you buying that are not from Amazon, because I think Amazon has some good PCs like this CyberPower one or this Skytech one that's $1,650, this one as well, but for other prices I would go with other companies. Actually, I have plenty of videos about it, but if you need to buy from Amazon because maybe your parents want you to buy from Amazon, or maybe you don't trust other companies, then I think this list might help you, and if it did, please leave a like and subscribe, and most importantly hit the bell button so you get notified when I upload this type of content. But before ending this video, I want to say something really important, and it's that you should get the right monitor for these PCs. If you have a 60Hz 1080p monitor, then any of these gaming PCs is going to be great for you. You don't want to spend $4,000 for a gaming PC and play at 1080p 60 frames per second. If you're going to buy this $4,000 gaming desktop, at least get a 1440p 144Hz monitor, and I would even recommend you getting a 4K 144Hz monitor. Don't worry about it, I have a whole video around monitors that you can go ahead and watch in the top right of the screen, and I really recommend you watching that video if you're going to buy one of these PCs. So thank you guys for watching, thank you for the support, and I will see you on the next one.